This week's Parsha is Parshah Tazria. Parshah Tazria is famous because it speaks about childbirth. It speaks about a woman who gets pregnant and gives birth to a boy or a girl. This Parsha has 7 mitzvot, 2 negative commandments and 5 positive commandments. Now, we have a rule that when a woman gives birth, she becomes impure, just like a nida. If she gives birth to a boy, she is impure for 7 days. If she gives birth to a girl, she is impure for 14 days.
14?
14. Now, some commentators asked why for a boy it's 7, for a girl it's 14. And various answers are given. One of them is that really it's supposed to be 7 for both boy and girl. But since she's giving birth to a girl who herself will one day give birth, so she has to wait for 7 days for herself and 7 days for the girl that she gave birth to. Others give a different answer. They say, no, really it's supposed to be 14 days for both boy and a girl. But the Torah changed the law for the boy because a boy is supposed to have Brit Milah on the 8th day. And the Torah wants the mother to be present by the Brit Milah. If she's impure, she will not be able to be among people because everybody will stay away from her, because if they touch her, they're going to be impure also. So that's why the Torah limited her impurity so that she can be present at the celebration of the Brit Milah on the 8th day.
But Nida rules are 14 days though, right?
Nida is 7 days. It's just that there is a different impurity called Zava, for which you need 7 clean days. And because you need 7 completely clean days for that, and nowadays a lot of people are not so familiar with the laws, and plus the laws to differentiate between Zava and Nidar are complicated, so women took upon themselves a stringency to treat every case of Nida as Zava. And because of that, the period of Nida becomes extended. Instead of 7 days according to Torah, it becomes 12 days according to the custom that women accepted upon themselves and which became halakha.
So in this case we only do 7.
7, yes. Now this parsha also has the mitzvah of Brit Milah. Uvayom hashmini yimod b'sar orlato. On the 8th day you should circumcise his foreskin. Now, what happens when 7 days finish? After 7 days for a boy, woman enters a 33-day period where she is pure, but she still cannot go to Beit HaMikdash or bring offerings or eat from offerings. Which means, if she sees any blood during those 33 days, we consider that to be blood of injury that she suffered during childbirth, and that blood is considered pure. That is according to Torah law. Now again, rabbinically, we treat any blood as nida blood, and therefore we wait until the woman heals completely and doesn't have any more blood for her to become pure again. But according to the Torah, for 7 days, whether she sees blood or she doesn't see blood, which means if there may be a case that a woman gives birth without blood, she will nevertheless be impure for 7 days because of childbirth. According to the Torah, if from the 8th day until the end of the 33 days, which means 7 plus 33 gives you 40 days, until the end of 40th day, if she sees blood, according to Torah, she is pure. The blood is pure.
Because it's not a period blood.
Because it's not period blood. It's not blood of her regular cycle.
But the Rabbanim hold it stringently and they don't allow it.
Yes. Yes. Now, after 40 days pass, she brings an offering. What is her offering? 2 birds. Ideally, it's a sheep and a dove, but if she is poor, she just brings 2 doves, one for Olah and one for Khatat. So that's what would happen. Every woman that gives birth, she would wait 40 days after a boy. She would wait 40 days. She would go to Beit HaMikdash with 2 birds or a sheep and a bird. She would offer it, and then she becomes completely pure. She can enter Beit HaMikdash. She can eat offering.
So during the Beit HaMikdash times, between the 7 and the 33 days, by the Torah law, she's considered okay for her husband, but she's still
Yes.
not allowed to enter Beit HaMikdash?
Yes.
By Torah law, she's still not allowed.
Right.
Okay.
I thought for 40 days she's not okay to be close with the husband.
No, only 7 days.
By Torah law.
By Torah law, 7 days after a boy, and that's it.
Now, did we mention the girl already? Or
No, now for a girl, everything's doubled. So it becomes 14 days. 14 days when she is forbidden to her husband, she's impure. Then, instead of 40 days, her total period is 80 days.
Mhm.
So from day 15 until day 80, for 66 days, she is pure for her husband, but she cannot go to Beit HaMikdash. And then after 80th day, on 81st day, she brings an offering, and then she becomes completely pure.
Now, the rabbinical decree, when did that come out? As far as her not being with her husband between the 7 and 33 days, for example. I mean, no, not being with her husband, but the blood is considered not pure.
No,
I don't
it's
know
considered-
exactly when it came out.
It's considered to be pure.
It's
No, by Torah law.
by
it
Torah
is.
law it's
But
pure.
the rabbinical decree.
Rabbinically,
is
we
it's
say
not.
until she stops.
But
Bleeding.
that's for Beta Mikdash, it's not pure. Not for the husband.
Yeah, yeah. For husband it's good, for Beit HaMikdash it's not, but now in rabbinically, even for husband it's not good.
So what should we then?
What we do practically is that a woman that gives birth, as long as she's bleeding, she's considered like nida.
So for 40 days then.
No, not for. She could be bleeding for less than 40 days.
She can be bleeding for less than 40 days. 7-day minimum for a boy, 14-day minimum for a girl. After that, each woman is different.
So let's say she continues to bleed.
If she
We
continues to
don't
bleed,
touch.
Yeah.
right,
You follow the needle laws, right?
you follow the needle laws. Now, it doesn't really matter because doctors nowadays say to abstain for 6 weeks anyway, because they understand that a woman after giving birth needs to heal.
That is true. Also, yeah, the doctors do say that.
And so 6 weeks is about 40 days anyway, 42 days, right? So it's not a big difference between the Torah, not the Torah, but the Jewish law and the medical law.
Now, you told us 2 opinions. That one of the opinions said because the mother waits 14 days for a girl, for herself, and for the girl. The other opinion says no, because it really is supposed to be 14 days for both of them.
Yes.
So then, what do they say? The fact that it's 40 and 80 days. So
Well,
it's supposed
everything's doubled.
everything is done
everything is doubled.
with the girl.
Yes.
There's no clear understanding why exactly, right? Okay.
Now we go to the next section.
But Rabbi, when we say she cannot go to Beit Mikdash, it like covers all. She cannot go to shul, or she can
No.
go to.
She can go to synagogue. Yeah.
Okay.
Usually, the women here go to synagogue, the Brit Milah, which is after 8 days.
No, for girls, it's like there's also naming, right? You need to declare the
Naming.
name.
Yeah, she doesn't have to be there. The husband has to go.
Wife shouldn't be there.
She can
she
if she
can,
wants.
but she doesn't.
She
have.
doesn't have to be. Usually she's not because it's hard for her. You know, if for Brit Milah, maybe she can drive because it's weekday, or if they do it on Shabbat, usually they do it in a house. But just to go for naming, unless she's very strong. Usually they do naming either the first time they read the Torah or they wait for Shabbat.
Right.
Which can be just a few days after giving birth, which is, but Brit Milah is already 8th day. She's usually stronger by then. Also, they do kiddush in a synagogue for a girl. That instead of Brit Milah for a girl, after Shacharit of Shabbat they do kiddush. That's the custom. Now this section from end of page 609 for next for many pages are the laws of tzara'at, of metzorah, of affliction of skin, and this will go through the next parsha also. The next parsha is called metzorah. Now, what is tzara'at? Tzara'at is a spiritual affliction that a person gets as a punishment, as a kapara for his sin. It's on one hand a warning sign that you're doing something wrong. You have to stop and repent. And it's also the suffering that the person goes through, it's an atonement for him. And there are different kinds of tzara'at. There is tzara'at on the skin of a person. There is tzara'at on clothing of a person. And there is tzara'at on a house. The tzara'at on house is only applicable in Israel. Now, in our times, we don't have, at least we don't identify any of the forms of tzara'at. Not houses, not skin, and not clothing.
So medically, we didn't make any correlations for the existing skin diseases?
No, it's not a medical, it's not a physical disease. Some people have tried to suggest that maybe it's leprosy, maybe it's other skin diseases, but the Torah says that a person with tzara'at, he has to be isolated, but not immediately. Which means, if it would in fact be a medical condition which could go to another person, then we would have to isolate him immediately. But the Torah says that it depends on Kohen saying that it's tameh. If you notice that you have tzara'at, you have to call Kohen and invite him over. Kohen will come and he will look at it. And if he decides that it's tzara'at, he's going to say that it's tameh. If not, he will say it's tahor and you're fine. But Kohen has a choice. He can say it's tameh now, or he can say, let's wait a few days, I'm going to give you a decision later. Mm-hmm. And the person is fine. When can Kohen use this power? If, for example, we're talking about a chatan or kala, a bride or a groom, and they're about to get married. Not to spoil their celebration, the Kohen says, let's wait until the end of your 7 days of Sheva Brachot, and then come to me, I'm going to pronounce the verdict. And that's what they do. They dance with everyone, they hug and kiss their friends and relatives. And after 7 days, the Kohen says, you're tameh, you're tzara'at. Go outside of the city, stay there for 7 days. If it's contagious, send him out immediately, even from his wedding. Everybody should just disperse. No. It's not contagious. It depends on your personal spiritual account.
And you must be sent outside of the city? That's the rule?
Yeah, either a Jewish camp or a city. Okay. The person with tzara'at has to be sitting alone. It's sort of like a period that you have to rethink your life. What you did wrong, how you're going to be different now. And you have to be alone. No friends. Another reason is that it says that tzara'at is a punishment for lashon hara. There are a few different sins that tzara'at can come because of, but one of them is lashon hara, speaking badly of others. So it's a fitting punishment that you speak badly of people, you cause fights, you cause people who are friends to separate, you cause husband and wife who live peacefully, you cause them machloket, fighting, and they broke up. So now you yourself are going to sit alone and feel how it is being alone without friends.
And it's 7 days, right? 7 days about
7 days, then the Kohen comes and checks.
Not 14?
Kohen comes and checks. If it didn't heal, or if it spread even more, he puts him in another quarantine for another 7 days.
And that is to see if he repents, really, right?
Yeah, if he does teshuvah. And then only when such a person is healed, the tzara'at disappears from his body, then he would bring he would go to mikvah, and then he would bring an offering in Beit HaMikdash. Next chapter in Metzorah actually tells you about the purification of the Metzorah. We're going to learn about it later. But now there are the different colors that the tzara'at can come from. There are two main colors and then two subcategories. The main colors are called Baheret and Se'ed. One is bright white, completely white, and one is a little bit darker. They compare it to eggshell.
Now the people that have it these days, that's already more like considered like a sickness, not that they
Yes,
really
these days.
has nothing to do with them, God punishing them, right?
Yes, and it's a good question that people ask. Why in these days we don't have tzara'at?
Exactly. Yeah.
And the answer that's given is that we are much less sensitive spiritually in our times.
Yeah, we're in a less spiritual level.
On a lower level, and if tzara'at would be here, everybody would have it.
Well, then more people will do teshuvah.
Our body is further removed from spirituality. Less of our neshama is in this world. And so there is less connection between the spiritual and the physical world, and there is less influence from the spiritual world in this world, and therefore sickness doesn't show itself.
Now, but we have some like very, very great rabbis, right, who are very like big tzaddikim. Couldn't they be considered on a much higher level than anyone else? So if they do some kind of a sin, then they could be stricken with it, or they. So again,
I'm not sure. I don't think so, because Hashem wouldn't send something that it's impossible to get out of. And here, you need, in order to get out of it, you need Beit HaMikdash.
mm-hmm.
You need to bring an offering, you need special purification, you need special sprinkling, and we don't have it nowadays.
So it's
So
really
they would stay.
to get rid of it. You need a Beit HaMikdash.
Right. So if someone would have tzara'at, he would stay tzara'at, Metzorah forever.
I see. Makes sense.
So the Torah in detail describes different colors, different forms. An interesting idea that the Torah says is that if tzara'at covers entire person, then the person is pure. If it's only spots or 99% of a person is covered, he's tameh. If his skin completely is covered by tzara'at, he's pure. And that's surprising. One of the answers that's given, why it is like that, since we said that the reason why you have tzara'at is as a rebuke from heaven, that you're doing something wrong, you should rethink your ways. If your entire body is covered with tzara'at, that means that the person is so bad, and he's not even going to listen to rebuke. It's no point. He's so bad that just leave him alone. Just make him pure, and that's it. You know, there is no hope for you. However, when person starts thinking, and maybe starts analyzing himself and starts doing teshuvah, tzara'at starts to leave, and part of his body gets healed. Once that part gets healed, he becomes tameh again. Why? Because now he showed hope. He showed improvement, that now he starts thinking. And now we make him tameh, we send him out, and now go and finish your process of purification. There are differences whether tzara'at appears on regular skin or on areas of your body where there is concentration of hair. like beard or your scalp. And there, tzara'at is has different laws. There is something called inflammation, and if there is inflammation, if it is healed, the physical inflammation is healed in the scab or the scar tissue that's left after that, there may appear tzara'at. Another place where tzara'at may appear is if a person has a burn. And after that, again, you have the scar tissue, and what happens if tzara'at appears on such a skin? What are the laws? What if a person is bald? We said that if he has hair, the laws of tzara'at are different. What if his head is bald and tzara'at appears on top of his head? So again, the laws of tzara'at are a little bit different, and they're described here. Now we are on page 617, Metzora's isolation. Such a person, his garments have to be torn. He may not take haircut. He has to cover himself in clothing until his lips. And he has to call out, contaminated, that other people should not touch him. He shall dwell in isolation outside the camp. Then the Torah speaks about tzara'at of garments, of clothing. That's in Pasuk 47. And that can be only on 3 kinds of garments. Either if the garment is made from wool, linen, or leather. Any other material, the laws of tzara'at don't apply. And it describes that if the garment has the tzara'at, you show it to the Kohen, and Kohen quarantines, isolates the garment for 7 days, and he sees what's going to be. At the end of 7 days, if the affliction spreads, you burn the garment. If the affliction does not spread, then they wash it, and they wait another 7 days. And by the end of the 7 days, if the tzara'at goes away, it's fine. But if it reappears after washing it away, if it reappears, you burn it then. However, if it didn't grow to its original size, it grew a little bit after you washed it, and now is dimmer, so it looks like it's slowly going away, then you just cut out that piece, and you can use the rest of the garment.
Could it be that it was mold at that time?
Mold?
Yeah, at that time, on the cloth.
Again, this was not a physical thing; it was spiritual, as a punishment for a person.
Mm-hmm.
You can try to find an answer for it, but at the end of the day, we say it's not physical. Mm-hmm. With this, the Torah finishes, and next week we're gonna learn more about the laws of tzara'at and purification.
Thank you.